Welcome back everyone to One Test Wonders. On today's episode of One Test Wonders, we are going to look at Rodney Redmond. Test match cricket has seen thousands of different players since the first ever test match over 100 years ago. In that time, we have seen greats like Brian Lara, Sachin Tendulkar and Shane Warne in the modern times. And then going back, we can say Don Bradman, Bill Lawry, Richie Bernard, just to name a few. In that time, very few players have only played one test match in their career. As mentioned before, this series takes a look at some of those players, focusing today on New Zealand opener Rodney Redmond. Rodney Redmond was born on the 29th of December 1944 and played domestic cricket starting in the season of 1963. And before we continue any further, I would like to do the standard of looking at his first recorded match and his first class match. Redmond's first recorded match was for Hutt Valley against Nelson in the Hawke's Cup in 1962. The Hawke Cup is a challenge match which is for non-first class teams in New Zealand. In Redmond's first innings, he scored a nice 77, outscoring everyone, including future Test player and legend John Reid. In his second innings, Redmond only scored 4, and Hutt Valley ended up losing by 1 run. Redmond's first volley into first-class cricket was for New Zealand under-23s against Auckland. Played in Auckland at Eden Park. In Redmond's first innings he made 9, while his other opening partner Trescott made a big 165. In the second innings, Redmond was only able to make 13 before being adjudged LBW, as the match petered out to a draw. Redmond was never massively impressive in domestic cricket. Throughout his career in domestic cricket, Redmond only averaged 34 runs an innings, scoring 5 centuries in a less than impressive domestic career. Redmond was also able to contribute with the ball, being a handy left-arm spinner as well as an excellent fielder. Despite Redmond having a pretty average domestic record, he was called up to the Test team at the age of 28 for the third Test against Pakistan in 1973. New Zealand began the series with debutant John Parker partnering with legendary New Zealand opener Glenn Turner. However, Parker broke his thumb while he was fielding. This meant the experienced Terry Jarvis stepped into open for the first and second Test. Jarvis scored a pair in the first Test. That meant he scored 2 ducks, which also means he did not score in either of the innings, before managing just 7 and 39 in the second Test. After a humiliating defeat in the second Test by an innings and 166 runs, New Zealand wanted to shake up the team to attempt to draw the series in the third Test. This gave Redmond his chance at Test cricket. Redmond began alongside Turner as the opener for New Zealand. Despite opening with one of New Zealand's greatest ever openers, Redmond was much more impressive of the pair. In the first innings, Redmond scored a fast-paced 107 to form an opening partnership with Turner of 159. That was exactly the start New Zealand were looking for after Pakistan had batted for 120 overs. That's 120 8-ball overs to score a mere 402 in their first innings. Redmond's impressive score, along with Brian Hastings' century, meant New Zealand also scored 402 in their first innings, but only in 90 overs. And to put it in perspective, the test match was only due to go for 4 days, not like the current system with 5-day test matches. Pakistan batted slowly in their second innings. They didn't need to win the match, they only needed to draw it to win the series, leaving New Zealand with only 24 overs to chase down a score of 272. New Zealand never really got close, finishing the match on 92 for 3. Redmond, though, still gave it a good go, scoring 56, including 9 fours, and scoring at almost run a ball, which was twice as fast as every other Kiwi player was scoring at. It was one of the most impressive debuts for New Zealand, at the time becoming only their third player to score a century on debut. So why did Redmond never play another test for New Zealand? New Zealand's next test tour was in England in the summer of 1973. Redmond was selected to go to England but never played for the test team during the summer. Redmond was unlucky to have played while there were some very set selectors. The selectors had already decided that John Parker would open alongside Glenn Turner for the first match in England. That meant they never really looked Redmond's way, despite his exceptional debut. Even years later, Redmond would say that the selectors were dead set on John Parker as their opener all along. It turned out to be pretty accurate. Parker ended up playing 36 test matches for New Zealand, including all 3 test matches against England. Throughout Parker's career, Redmond was proved right as the selectors stuck with Parker despite a very poor batting record. Parker scored at an average of 25 in his longer test career, including averaging just 5 in that test series against England. It meant that it was even tougher for Redmond, seeing the man chosen above him perform so poorly in England. But still, the selectors stuck with Parker and Redmond never played for New Zealand again. Another part of the reason why Redmond never played another test match was his poor performance as he adjusted to contact lenses. And as someone who has worn contact lenses before, I can say they are not fun to get used to. Redmond did not play phenomenally during the warm-up matches ahead of the first test in England, a tour that he was selected to go on. Redmond did play 2 ODIs on that tour of 1973, but only batted once and scored just 3 runs. That was the full extent of Redmond's international career. 3 matches, but only 1 test match. Despite some good seasons in domestic, Redmond never played for his country again. It meant that Redmond retired with a test batting average of 82, being the only player alongside Andy Gantham to score a century on debut and never play another test. We have a One Test Wonder video on Andy Gantham here. Click if you would like to watch that. Redmond played cricket until 1976 for Auckland, ended up with a good average of 36. So, despite having a little bit of a poorish career, ended up with an average of 36 is good. After a short but astonishing international career, Redmond watched his son Arron Redmond succeed in domestic cricket before being called up to play for the Black Caps. The younger Redmond had a longer career than his father, playing 21 times for his country, with 8 of them be in test matches, but never scoring a century like his father. Redmond seldom watches cricket now and is currently the CEO of a healthcare company. Despite a quiet ending to his career, Redmond is still remembered as one of the most incredible what-if test career. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like, and if you'd like to comment on what one test wonders you'd like to see, please do, because I may get around to them. See you next time. Enjoy.